Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you all here. It's great to feel you all through the ethers. And I'm Lisa Snortum Phelps, and I am music director along with my husband Tyler. And yeah, thank you. And I'm reminding you that with the new health mandates, we are doing even more to keep everybody safe. So we will not be singing in the sanctuary. All the singing will be on video, but we have great musicians on video. And today we have Sky Nelson coming back through the ethers. And I'm reminding everybody here in the sanctuary, we're not singing. You can hum along, you can snap, you can clap, you can dance if you're so inspired. At home, you guys get to sing, so that's one advantage. So we have Sky Nelson, and he's going to be reminding us to celebrate this precious day.
Hey, Unity of Walnut Creek. Happy New Year. Here we are. Let's celebrate this precious day. I'm gonna let the joy wash over me. I'm gonna let the joy wash my worry away. I'm gonna let the joy wash over me. I'm gonna celebrate this precious day. That's right. I'm gonna let the love flow out of me. I'm gonna let the love wash my worry away. I'm gonna let the love flow out of me. I'm gonna celebrate this precious day. I'm gonna let the laughter fall out of me. I'm gonna let the laughter wash my worry away. I'm gonna let the laughter fall out of me. I'm gonna celebrate this precious day. I'm gonna let the joy wash over me. I'm gonna let the joy wash my worry away. I'm gonna let the joy wash over me. I'm gonna celebrate this precious day. I'm gonna celebrate this precious day. I'm gonna celebrate this precious day. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you, Sky. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek service. My name is Bob Hardy.
My name is Diane Hardy, and thank you, Sky, for that great rendition this morning, getting us kicked off in best Billy Joel fashion. Join us in turning to the camera and waving to the folks at home. You are as much a part of our community today as we are here in the sanctuary. Your presence adds to our spiritual community. Thank you so much for joining us in this way.
Yeah, for sure. If you're not yet aware, Contra Costa County has put a heightened mask requirement in place. As a result, we got to wear a mask while we talk to you, speak to you, and present to you today. Vocalists, as Lisa had said, will perform via video for the time being.
And just like we had Sky Nelson as our guest musician today, we're very happy to be able to reach out to a community of New Thought musicians that we can reach remotely. They add to our service, and they add to the variety of musicians that we get to experience.
Yeah.
Reverend Kristen will share a message titled, Aim Me, an Arrow for the Divine.
Yes. As we begin, I invite you to turn your cell phones off or to stun for a while and to spend your time with us together in this sacred place.
Let's take a moment to be grateful for the land our center rests upon. This is Ohlone, Bay Miwok, and Yukots land.
We honor its ancestry and are grateful for those who came before us. We commit to taking care of these sacred native grounds and Mother Earth.
Unity is a positive path for spiritual living. Our vision for the world is we envision a spiritually awakened world where all life thrives in conscious oneness.
And our mission is who we have come here to be. And let's say this together. We are a loving, inclusive community, expanding our divinity in sacred service for all. Our core values are love, connection, service, and wisdom.
If you are with us for the first time, welcome, welcome. And if you're comfortable, raise your hand. We want to acknowledge you.
You're new? All veterans.
Both old and new. We are so glad to have you here with us today.
Of course.
Feel free to visit our bookstore, which is located across the patio here behind the sanctuary, and receive a welcome packet and a gift. If you need help in receiving this, please let an usher know. We hope you'll choose to stay and meet some of our congregation on the patio after the service.
Yeah, the sun's coming out. It should be really nice. Connection cards are available in the newcomer welcome packets and in the seat pockets in front of you. These are for everyone. With this card, you may submit a prayer request, and our prayer team will pray with you throughout the week.
You can also submit feedback or request more information. Place your card in the offering basket when it's passed during our time of giving. For those of you viewing online, connection cards are available on the Watch Live page of our website for the Unity of Walnut Creek.
Great. And also, please consider comfort levels when greeting one another before and after services with namaste bows and elbow bumps. We welcome you to socialize on the patio after the service or in our bookstore.
We have a couple of announcements. Our campus is open for on-site classes and groups. Masks must be worn inside, and you can wear your mask properly to help the spread. It should be fit more closely these days, I understand. Over your nose for sure, and below your chin. Masking outdoors is optional.
We have 2 new activities to highlight this week. It's a new year and a great time to get involved here at Unity. Serving is a wonderful way to meet people and to make new friends.
We have service opportunities
Yes, we do.
on our audiovisual team, our usher and greeting team, and our event coordination team. If you're interested in volunteering, please send an email to office@unityofwalnutcreek.org.
So do you like playing games? Would you like to engage your imagination and play a game that can guide your future? Join us for a workshop that will do just that.
Kat Hill will teach you how to use the power of your imagination to play What If. That's the name of the game.
What if? Yeah.
We'll dream, write, share, and collaborate in a playful workshop designed to help you jumpstart your imagination and inspire you to ask and answer the question, what if? The workshop will be offered on-site in the Unity's community room on Sunday, January 30th, from 2 o'clock to 4 p.m. Please register for the class in our bookstore or on our website.
And see our website for a listing of all of our events, in person or online. And if you're not receiving our weekly e-news, use the connection card link on the Watch Live page and sign up.
You can also discuss our Sunday messages and more with our community on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. at the weekly Spiritual Growth Circle. The meetings are currently hosted online via Zoom.
And now as we and prepare for a time of meditation, please join me in taking just a deep breath, just a conscious breath to be here, to be present. And affirming our statement of faith together, there is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God.
Next, we begin with music followed by guided meditation and a time of silence. After our meditation, Reverend Kristen will share her message for today.
I'm leaning forward in my seat. I'm leaning forward in my seat. I'm a rainbow in the sky. I'm a rainbow in the sky. I'm leaning forward in my seat. I'm leaning forward in my seat. I'm a rainbow in the sky. I'm a rainbow in the sky. I'm leaning forward in my seat. I'm leaning forward in my seat. I'm a rainbow in the sky. I'm a rainbow in the sky. I'm a rainbow in the sky. I'm a rainbow in the sky.
So we just take a nice deep breath, allowing ourselves to center right here, right now. Getting ready to be launched across the sky like a rainbow into the new year. Take a moment to rest, to be, to gather up our energies, to fill ourselves at this well of prayer. The easy breath that moves through us, bringing peace, renewal, letting the breath move through us from front to back and out beyond our backside, dissipating out in the energy field. The breath come back through our backs and out through the front of our bodies. Like a cool breeze moving on out into the ethers. Letting the next breath be exhaled through the sides of our body. Out to the east and west, or north and south. We become the openness to receive and to give the very breath of Spirit. be relaxed and restored. This breath of wholeness. Open and free. And just noticing if something arises that feels like it blocks the flow. We just see it, a thought, a feeling, a story, tension. And then breathe it out, let it go. Let yourself float into the mystery and the silence. Let's take another expansive breath. As we inhale, there is an intensifying, gathering energy in the heart. A recognition of the truth of who we are. I am divine. I have come here to be the very essence of love and light and truth in the world. And perhaps right now there is a specific quality or word, a way of being that I'm working with in this new year. white stone word or something you've come upon as you've meditated, or right now, letting the guiding spiritual quality for your new year arise. And this truth, this unique expression of your soul, is now launched from the very heart of you. Watch how it streams across the sky, a rainbow of hope, divine potential and truth. I am a rainbow in the sky, and so it is.
I'm leaning forward in my seat. I'm leaning forward in my seat. I'm a rainbow in the sky. I'm a rainbow in the sky. This song comes from a story in the Bhagavad Gita, ancient Hindu text, about Arjuna being taught by Krishna the importance of fighting his battles and using his arrows that he's been given in his life to make his mark on the world and shoot those arrows at his targets. This song is for you. It's called The World Needs You. The fire rages in the story of our passions. We set the stage for this a long time ago. Our frame of mind resists the changing of the seasons. We find it hard to let the old habits go. But if you feel lost within the crowd, declare yourself and shout your name out loud. 'Cause the world needs you. Aim your bow. The world needs you to fire your arrows. 'Cause no one else can do the things you need to do. The world needs you. The world needs you. The world needs you. The world needs you. Somebody out there needs your personal attention. The inspiration that you bring is never fake. The mystery will soon surrender you its secrets. You'll do it with a style no one can imitate. If you feel lost within the crowd, declare yourself and shout your name out loud. 'Cause the world needs you. Aim your bow. The world needs you to fire your arrows. 'Cause no one else can do the things you need to do. The world needs you. The world needs you. The world needs you. The world needs you. No one's got a plan like yours. Life never came this way before. If you don't release it, your vision dies. Pull the string back to your ear, release the arrow tip, and steer it past the known horizon where beauty lies. 'Cause the world needs you to aim your bow. The world needs you to fire your arrows. 'Cause no one else can do the things you need to do. The world needs you. The world needs you. The world needs you to aim your bow. The world needs you to fire your arrows. There's no one else can do the things you need to do. The world needs you. The world needs you. The world needs you. The world needs you.
As my dad used to say, isn't that the truth? So who are you being in this new year? It's still New Year, right? Happy New Year. I can still say that. It's still sort of fresh. Are you becoming? Do you have a sense of becomingness? Stepping in, maybe. How many of you were here last week for the White Stone ceremony? Oh, a lot of you. Okay. And some of you, if you didn't get to experience the White Stone ceremony, I hope you know that you can always go back and follow along on our YouTube channel or through our website and be guided and enjoy the music and get your White Stone word if you haven't yet. And for those of you who are new to that idea, on the White Stone, as we meditate, Spirit gives us a word, and that word is a spiritual quality, something that guides us throughout our whole new year and is a touchstone for us. So regardless of whether you have it yet or not, that particular word, there is a sense, right, that you are bringing something forward, that there is a sense of newness in the new year. It just happens every year naturally, doesn't it, that we begin to clean the slate. We have our burning bowl ceremony, we let go, and then we say, okay, where am I headed? What's new for me? The prophet, in the prophet, Khalil Gibran speaks of parents as bows sending their children forth as living arrows. And so we can think of this, I'll just share a little excerpt from the prophet on this. We can think of these children as actual children, as ourselves as the bow, the parent, and the actual child as he intended. We can also think of it as a wider metaphor as that which we are co-creating, right? That we are the bow sending forth the arrows, the living arrows of that which we want to happen, that we want to create, our truest heart desires. So keeping whichever in mind or both as you listen. You are the bow from which your children as living arrows are sent forth. The archer seeks the mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might, that his arrows may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness. For even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is stable. The symbolism of archery is found far and wide throughout the world's religions, throughout the ages, throughout spiritual teachings. You heard Sky refer to the Bhagavad Gita and the story there that Krishna is teaching. And Alan Sr. says, he writes in Spiritual Archery, Hitting the Mark, that the spiritual skill of archery is an expression of beauty and truth. So we're going to use this idea, this metaphor, and some of the symbolism that's rich in archery today as we prepare to and continue to move in the trajectory that we wish to move in 2022 in the beingness and the becomingness, as well as the things in the outer world that we might create. So there is a term in archery for, actually the word sin comes out of archery, and it means missing the mark. When I came into Unity teachings, and I learned, after having grown up in Lutheran teachings, that sin was simply missing the mark And it came from a benign, seemingly benign sport called archery. It was like, oh, the weight of the world lifted. Do you know has anybody relate to that experience? Because in my upbringing in the Lutheran teachings, it always felt like there was just sort of this hopeless escape from the shadow of unworthiness in our sinful nature, because the core belief was that you come in this way. You come in missing the mark. Original sin, right? This teaching, this dark teaching, really. That core belief got opened up in these teachings that said, no, we're not born in original sin. We're not born missing the mark. We're not born incomplete or mistaken. We're actually born of original blessing. We're actually born of original virtue or original love. You can substitute whatever word you want, but it is that kind of expansive truth of who we are. Worthy from the start, made in the image and the likeness of God, not only made by our source, but made of our source, of that substance. So how could it be? It certainly isn't the kind of thing that Gibran talks about when he talks about the arrow of love shot from the stable, flexible parent. And so taking up this difference is a world changer, isn't it? A shapeshifter of the mind. If you're new to these teachings and hearing for the first time, maybe even this idea, not original sin, but original blessing I was born in, and that sin is not this like horrible, heavy, shameful thing, but it's just making a mistake, like, oops, I missed the mark, I'll try again. That simple. It's the best weight loss program around. If that's one of your New Year's resolutions, you've come to the right place. I know Weight Watchers has got their thing, but Unity's got our thing too. And actually, it might be that kind of like weight that stays off. So do you have particular targeted areas in your life for 2022 that you're headed toward? I mean, we have kind of these general areas of life, right? Financial, relationships, health, our work and service, and perhaps that bullseye then being our spiritual goal. Whatever it is that our spiritual goal is that center aim. So it might help you to use sort of broad categories like this and just maybe come up with a goal in each of the categories that really, moves you and feels like, yeah, this is mine to do this year. And maybe one of these isn't it or something else is it. But having this idea of moving toward a target and having particular aims or goals or intentions really helps us kind of shape how we show up in the world, how we act, how we relate, what we focus on, where we put our attention and our energy, but especially having that spiritual goal. Because if we have that spiritual goal and we hit it, it sort of ripples out, right? It affects all the other goals in a positive way because it is that underpinning, that underlying one. And maybe that bullseye for you, that spiritual goal, is your quality, your spiritual quality, your word, your white stone idea of who you are becoming, what you are embodying this year. That can be your guiding light throughout the year and be that place that you want to keep on striving to hit, to become, to be, to take on, not just to act in some way in the world. So when we get close to it, when we hit that bullseye, we are satisfying the fulfillment of what we have been guided to be and to do, right? Because this word, this quality comes from spirit. And often it's surprising, isn't it? I don't know if anybody else was surprised by what came for them this year, but I was surprised. But I'm already starting to feel, oh yeah, I like this word. I like, it's like there's life in it, there's breath in it, there's mystery in it too. And so all of those things can keep us engaged in this sense of That's what I'm aiming to. That's what my thoughts, actions, words, all these pieces of me are pointing toward. And behind that specific unique expression that's being called is, of course, that the underlying bullseye for all of us, which is to express and realize more of our divine potential, more of our true selves, more of our essence. That's the bullseye that we all hold, essentially. So let's consider the archer's tools for a moment. Of course, the bow and arrow are absolutely essential, right? And in indigenous people, the bow and arrow is really important. These are really important tools. Of course, for practical purposes, they had been for survival, for protection. But also, there's always been this rich symbolism in these tools. Joseph Marshall III is a member of the Sicangu Lakota, also known as the Rosebud Sioux, and he was interviewed on NPR talking about his book, The Lakota Way of Strength and Courage, Lessons in Resilience from the Bow and Arrow. And in the interview, he says that he wanted to know where his people got the bow. And so he went to the best teachers that he had available to him, his grandparents. And he asked his grandmother, where did the bow come from? And she said, the moon gave us the bow. And she went on to explain that when you harvest the wood for the bow, you go at the time when the moon is just a little bit of a sliver. It's the cycle of the moon then when the moon itself is shaped like a bow. And so the Lakota then shaped their bow like a crescent moon, thick in the middle and tapering off to these points on each end. And it's an engineering marvel, that bow that is a reflection, a mirror of the crescent moon itself. And then Joseph's grandfather explained where the arrows came from. And he said the arrows are the straight rays of the sun. And when you look out into the grove of trees late in the day, that's when the rays of sun are really straight. He said that's how you always want your arrows to be, really clear and straight like that. And so it's the sun and the moon, the balance and the harmony that bring together these tools, the bow and the arrow. It's how nature works, isn't it? That in this sort of movement together of sun and moon, of balance, of seemingly opposing things in life that come together as one. And so we then become a part of that flow as we take up our own bow and our own arrows. But what would that be? What is your bow and what are your arrows? And how could they be relevant for your life now? Well, let's take the arrows first. So typically in a quiver to hold the arrows, there would be 5 arrows. That's the sort of the classical amount of arrows. So if you think about what do we express, what do we send out, what do we would bring out into the world, what are the ways in which we might share the truth and the light within us, the quality that we are being? Well, through our thoughts is one way, right? Through our feelings, through our body language and our expressions, through our words, the things that we speak, and through our actions. Those could be potentially 5 different arrows in our quiver, 5 different ways that we express. And so then if we consider what are the arrows that we are sending forth and what kind of condition are they in? So if you were an archer, right, you would care a lot about what kind of condition your bow was in and what kind of condition your arrows were in. And you wouldn't shoot arrows that were crooked or limited in some way or broken or split. And so why would we shoot thoughts and feelings and words and actions and body language that is somehow not quite aligned? So it's looking then at the arrows before we shoot them that is a part of that conscious awareness to be the best at what we have come here to do and to be. To consider yourself an Olympian archer at a game of spiritual archery, that matters. The words matter, the actions matter, the thoughts matter, the feelings matter. All that we put out into the world makes a difference. And so checking our arrows before we shoot them, essentially, and making sure that something doesn't need repair, doesn't need to be realigned, doesn't need to be healed or cared for in some way before we put it out into the world. And shoot it toward our target, we'll have much better chance, right, of hitting those targets, those goals and ideas and resolutions that we are holding for ourselves and our lives. And maybe for the world, perhaps, if you have those too. So, when we have a clear sense of direction, of where we're headed, where we're going, it helps us pull all these pieces together. So we now have this sense of what the arrows are, but we can't hit the bullseye until we know the way of the bow. Now, the way of the bow is a Japanese practice called Kyudo. And the challenge of Kyudo is less about the physical experience of the archery and the perfecting of the skills, and it's more about, most importantly, about spiritually aligning oneself. The skill involves confronting negative thoughts and having an understanding of the expansiveness of spiritual energy and how to work with it, how to maximize the use of spiritual energy, how to allow it to move through us. So it's about getting into the flow, into that harmonious movement so that bow and body and mind and spirit all flow together. Alan Sr. says that Kyudo archers search for truth with sincerity, with courage, with patience, with alertness and commitment. And so do we. So what do you draw from? Where do you draw your strength? What opens you? What is your most effective launching pad for what you want to put out into the world? What are some of the ways that help you to open and to strengthen? That's your bow. And it probably contains your spiritual practices, because those are a key way, right, that we fortify ourselves, that we strengthen ourselves, and that we allow ourselves to sort of sharpen our tools so that we can use them in the world. It's open when you consider the shape of the bow. It's receptive. It's like a crescent moon full of mystery. And that is also who we are. And when we become that, when we allow ourselves to empty, to be open, to be receptive, to be open to the mystery of ourselves and the mystery of our lives, that is a key piece in the way of the bow. So you can name your practices too, those things that strengthen you and that help open you up. I think it helps sometimes to just name our practices. It's a way of recommitting and reclarifying what works for us right now, what calls us right now. So maybe it's sitting meditation, maybe it's moving meditation, maybe it's walking the labyrinth or dancing or yoga or martial arts. Maybe it's prayer, getting back to your roots of affirmative prayer and praying for others. Maybe it's listening to inspiration. So whatever that might be, maybe it's yoga and you want to do the actual bow pose. Anybody familiar with the bow pose in yoga? Yeah, a couple of you. So the bow pose is just completely opening your body like a bow. So you lay on your belly and you grab your ankles with your hands, and your body becomes a bow. You can imagine how opening that is, right? How expansive that is. So whatever that might be for you, naming it and being in it. If you consider that the use of the bow is also the stance itself of the archer is this open, and it's got both this kind of sense of strength, but also this openness, right? That there's an openness of the heart, there's an openness of the chest, there's this combination of strength and stability and vulnerability and openness. Senior says there's a moment when the expansion of energy hits its highest point. when the archer's physical and mental and spiritual stability is fully tested, and where they are most vulnerable. This is the moment when the target becomes the mirror of the archer's soul. So it's when we realize that the target isn't out there, and there's a melding into the heart of our hearts, a recognition all the way to that bullseye that's in here, that this is who I am. And more of what I am to be expressed is being called forth. But it's that stance that reminds us, yeah, I am strong, but I'm also open and vulnerable. And I imagine there is probably for actual people who physically experience archery that also have the spiritual component, that there must be that feeling of just that moment when it clicks, right? As if you're part of athletics, other athletics, those moments when you get into that flow, you get into that space, or if you're creating something and you get into that timeless space, right? And it's just like, that's it. It's the right combination, and now it flows, and now I'm in it. So I want to invite you to get a little more clarity about where you're at with your process of spiritual archery. If you'd like to close your eyes for a moment. And imagine, if you will, that you are the archer, stretching your bow. You might even want to do it if you don't hit your neighbor. And just feeling that sense of, I'm so open, right? I'm also strong and clear and direct. I have purpose. I have a sense of where I'm headed. And just letting your heart be open to receive, like that crescent-shaped moon. The bow is also within. And somewhere in that bow there is perhaps a little ray of light. And in that light, as you open it up, as you see it expand, is your aim, your spiritual goal for the year, your quality, your word, your name. Let it arise. It's kind of a sweet spot that begins to just open up as your body opens up, as your heart opens up more. And you receive that light of day, that clear ray, that essence of you that is coming forward in 2022. So what does it look like if I step into this? We ask ourselves, what does it look like for me to embody this way of being, this quality that I'm being called into? How does it look for me to watch myself step into this, to step up into more of who I am in this specific way? And so letting yourself step in, feeling that. What does it feel like to be this quality, to be this essence? Who am I when I am this? And when you're ready, I invite you to just release all of that. Allow it to sit, to merge, to fade into the depths of your heart. Sometimes when we complete a meditation, we take a bow, right? Another word, the same word for bow is bow. And bowing is an act of reverence. And so when we bring reverence to to our practices, reverence to the things that get sparked in us or arise in us, reverence to everyday activity. We imbue it with something more meaningful automatically. Our practices can be empty without a sense of reverence, without the sense of there's meaning and there's purpose and there's spirit here. There's reverence for the divine itself. There's reverence for the teachers who show us practices. There's reverence for ourselves. There's reverence for those we practice with. There's reverence for the fact that we gain more by bringing the sense of this knowingness to touch the sacredness. So we can bow in the midst of this archery, this bow. So take Zen archery, for example. That's been a popular tradition for centuries. And the key to the mastery of this is not about performing, but it is about a reverent and humble sense of surrender. That surrender to that mysterious force, they say, behind life, that mysterious force behind action. We would call that mysterious force the divine or God or source or spirit or whatever your word is that you'd like to use. But it's that knowing that as we give over to that, when we surrender, then the lines get blurred. The archer, the bow, the arrow, all of it just sort of becomes less important. What means what? It just all kind of blurs, right? It blurs out into the place of oneness. And everything becomes one once again. Brian Martine says that by allowing all these concepts to sink into one, there is no possibility of not hitting the bullseye. When we get in that place of oneness, we're in that flow where it is so clear where we're headed. So how should we engage in this ancient game of spiritual archery? Let's take a moment to hit upon some of these key ideas that we can clarify our goals, and then as we do, the target begins to take shape for us. It becomes visible to us or visceral to us. And in the middle of that target is always that bullseye, right? The spiritual goal, the place that we're really ultimately aiming for in this new year. So we keep that front and center. We keep that clear in our minds. We keep that intention as our guiding light. And as we clarify then our direction and our purpose, we know then where to point our arrows, right? And to assess our arrows. So the thoughts, the feelings, all those arrows that we talked about, the words, the actions, all of that then is aligned in the direction that we want it to go. And we have a much clearer intent and better chance of succeeding and fulfilling, achieving what it is that we've set out to do. So then we know that hitting the target will be realizing our dreams and goals, and hitting the bullseye will be opening up to a greater level of who we are in truth. So then we draw that bow, open up our bodies, open up our hearts, and surrender to spirit and let go. And so maybe we'll watch the arrows fly and we'll hit the mark and we'll celebrate, and sometimes we might miss the mark. I think about this dartboard we had in the basement growing up, and my sisters and I created holes all over the walls far away from the dartboard, not intentionally, but that's just, without the kind of consciousness to really be aimed and direct, it's just kind of a mess. And so we can do that. We can miss the mark. We don't have to be hard on ourselves, right? It's just, oops, I missed the mark. I'm going to try again. But we have all these things conspiring to help us succeed as we use these spiritual tools. And then in time, we really learn to find that place. It's not like an efforting to get to that place where the archer's soul becomes one with the target, right? It's just practice and practice and practice and opening and allowing, and then at some point we hit that sweet spot. And so it's those moments then that get strung together for our fullest awakening. You want to awaken in 2022? Yeah, that sounds good. How about we make that our goal? Let's all wake up spiritually in 2022. And then, of course, there are lots of ways that will arise for us to make that so. So I have a friend that changed the spelling of her name to Amy, A-I-M, second word, M-E. And she did it with a lot of intent, right? And this commitment to follow Spirit in life and everything that she does. So just, every time she sees her name and says her name, and she's reminded that she has made this commitment that she wants to be aimed in the direction that Spirit wants to aim her, toward that target, toward that bullseye. And I would say, from witnessing her life, that she's hit that target and bullseye a lot. She's it made a big difference in the world as a musician, as a spiritual teacher, as somebody who creates community, spiritual community, a creative community. She's an earth keeper, very close to the earth, and helps sort of just by the example of her life inspire people to live more sustainably. So all those ways have been an emanation of changing her name, taking on the new name, really embodying the new name, and allowing it to be constantly reminded to her of what she's about. So what's your new name? What's your new quality? What has been given to you by Spirit? And you claim that and exclaim that every day. Or know that in your mind as you say, aim me, right? As we open up, as we get clear on our intent, we can start our day every morning with, aim me, Spirit, in the direction of the highest good, in the expression of my highest divine potential. It can't get any better than that. To have those intentions, it'll be the wind beneath our wings. To really fire those arrows exactly where they need to go and make an enormous difference in the world by doing so. So are you ready to do that? Are you ready to really step in and to become and to allow who you've been guided to be this year to truly unfold? Let's know it together. Let's say it together, and let's really work it throughout our week. I invite you to say this with me. Aim me, a spiritual arrow for the divine. So it
Go ahead, birthday girl.
Thank you, honey. I like where the message went when at first it started to sound like I needed to know what the bullseye was. And then it became clear that it's a process of alignment with a surrender. And that what if wherever the arrow hits is a bullseye? And the next time you open up, you're even more integrated into what that capacity to allow yourself to be set up for your next flight.
Was there more? There was so much more. Okay. Thank you for that. Our prayer chaplains are available today after the service to provide personal prayer support. If you're a prayer chaplain serving today, please stand. Our prayer chaplains are wearing the lavender stoles. Thank you very much for being here this morning.
Whether you have a joy or a concern on your heart today, Praying with our prayer chaplains is a powerful opportunity to have your intentions raised up in consciousness.
Now let's open our hearts to the practice of giving. I invite you to prepare your gifts as we align with the universal law of circulation. As we give, we shall receive. In truth, there is no lack or limitation. Abundance is our true nature.
There are a multitude of avenues to give to our community. In addition to traditional checks and cash, you can download the Give app, spelled G-Y-V-E, and use the credit and debit card envelopes provided on the clipboard in the pocket of the chair in front of you. You can also set up bill paying through your bank. Those of you at home can click on the donate button of the Watch Live page on the Unity of Walnut Creek website.
Click that button. Click that button. I invite you to take your tithe or offering in your hand and in your heart, in your knowingness, in your consciousness, to give, to move energy forward, to be in abundance. Please affirm with me together our affirmation. Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful. So it is.
Simple things that live inside me have found an open door. I finally recognize who I've become. And the knowing that has always known me is now easy to my lips. I realize the beauty of my gifts. I am more than I ever thought I'd be. Welcoming the new, welcoming the new. And I am the change I always hope to see. Welcoming the new me. And the day can pass me quickly by without seeing all I've done and all the many blessings I've begun. And the people that I've brushed my heart upon, just going through that day. And I have helped them find a state of grace. I am more than I ever thought I'd be. Welcoming the new, welcoming the new. And I am the change I always hope to see. Welcoming the new me. Welcoming, welcoming, welcoming the new. Welcoming, welcoming, welcoming the new. Welcoming, welcoming, welcoming the new. Welcoming the new us. Welcoming, welcoming, welcoming the new. Welcoming, welcoming, welcoming the new. Welcoming, welcoming, welcoming the new. Welcoming the new us. And I am more than I ever thought I'd be. Welcoming the new, welcoming the new. And I am the change I always hope to see. Welcoming the new me. Welcoming the new me. welcoming the new us. Have a happy new year.
All right. Let's bless all this goodness that we're stepping into, that we are becoming the sunshine outside, the gifts that are held here, and the givers, and the continuation of gifts flowing. Let's bless it together. We give thanks for the ever-increasing, constant flow of absolute good in our lives now. Let's send blessings to our children, our teachers, and our youth that are meeting separately at this time. Together, children, youth, and teachers, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divine light within you. So as we close out with our prayer of protection and our peace song, you could follow along with Susan, learn some sign language and in both. Oh, and if you... Oh, right. All right, very good. Together, the light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine. You are the light and the love and the peace on earth right now. So let your light shine, have fun, and spread joy.